In this tutorial, we will review how to complete the Massachusetts State Science and Engineering Fair forms for the middle school students. Let's begin at the massscifair.com website. From there, select the fairs, then the State Middle School Fair, and Manual and Forms. Select Form A, B, C, and D. There are only 4 forms required for any middle school science fair project. At the top, we will select Region 6. This box here is asking if the project requires Scientific Review Committee approval before the start of the work. If you have any questions and think that your student's project may require this approval, please submit those forms to the Boston Public Schools Science Department by Friday, December 18th. To complete this form, we begin with the student's name. Then we shift over to the grade, the project title, and then there's a place for the teacher's name. Please encourage your students to type these forms if possible. Next, the school name and the section of Boston. There's a place here for the teacher phone number. Please use the Boston Public Schools phone number and the Boston Public Schools email. Please check here if this is an individual project or if this is a team project. If it's a team project, teams can be students in groups up to 3, and each individual student must submit their own research plan Form 1A. During this tutorial, we will not be addressing prohibited projects. There will be a separate tutorial to address all of those questions. Moving down to this area, we have 3 checkboxes. The first of which is just asking if the student has read and understands the rules. The second one is asking if the student is doing a project that includes human subjects, that all of the Form Cs are attached to this form. And the last box is asking if the student's research plan requires a designated supervising adult and if the Form D is attached. The last box is very important and requires a student signature, teacher signature, and a parent or guardian signature and date. We're moving on now to the research plan Form 1B. Student's name again at the top. This is asking about the specifics of the project. The first question is for the student to state the question or the problem to be solved. The second is asking for the student's hypothesis. That should be a testable statement, or the student can be putting in a statement of goals if it's an engineering project. The third question is asking for the materials. The student should be listing the quantities, and then the student should also be attaching any diagrams if they need additional space. The fourth question is asking for the methods or procedure. Make sure all of these are numbered. Moving on to Informed Consent Form C. This form is required for every human subject that's used in a human subject experiment. The student's name again goes at the top and the title of the project. The student researcher is to complete questions 1 through 3. The first question asks that the student describes the purpose of the study, what will be involved, how long the study will go on for, and the student must also attach any surveys or questionnaires that will be given to the human subjects. Question 2 is asking that the student describe and assess any risk of discomfort or any potential benefits to the subjects. Please ensure that your students have communicated to the subjects that the participants may stop at any time and that the researcher themselves understand that the participants do not have to continue on. The third question asks that the procedures are described and that the procedures used will minimize risk. And they're also asking how informed consent will be obtained and to ensure that the student maintains confidentiality. This particular Form C cannot be displayed at a school science fair, a city science fair, or a state science fair. Lastly, there's 2 boxes at the bottom of the Form C. They're just asking that the human subject has read and understands the conditions and that they understand that they can withdraw from the middle of the study. And lastly, the individual can give permission to use visual images, or they can withhold that permission as well. Any student who's under 18 must have their parents sign in addition. And the last form we're going to look at is the Designated Supervisor Form D. This form is mainly for students who have an experiment that requires full-time supervision. It can be completed by a researcher or an individual not part of the school community. And that would be the place here for the name, the position, institution, address, phone, or email. If your student is doing work that requires full-time supervision, you can be the designated supervisor. In this portion here, they're asking that the supervisor include any hazardous substances, devices used in the research, safety precautions to be taken, and proper disposal procedures. Please be sure that this is a comprehensive list. Please be sure to list personal protective equipment such as goggles, aprons, or gloves. And please be specific about how any microorganisms are disposed of. Will they be disposed of in a bleach solution? Will they be picked up by a certain disposal company? And then at the bottom, ensure that the supervisor has listed their name, signature, and date. This concludes this tutorial from middle school science fair forms.